I've been working in the horror industry since 1977. I've written for every major magazine all over the world. Cine Fantastique is actually probably one of the biggest I ever wrote for, which is an American magazine. I wrote, all these. Oh dear, it's such a wide-ranging career. From literally from 1976, I've been on every major horror film set all over the world. I still sort of cover those sort of location reports for certain magazines, but my main thing at the moment is I do Fright Fest in London, which is my event. It's the UK's biggest horror fantasy science fiction event, which is held every year in August in London's Leicester Square, right in the centre of London. We have one of the biggest IMAX cinemas, and we have satellite cinemas everywhere, so we show everything. Usually about 96 films. We have a Halloween event too, which when I get back from here I have to do, which is over this weekend. And then we also have a Scottish version as well. I've just finished off my third book at the moment, which is all my reviews from the last 40 years being put into one volume. I don't know why people want that, but they've asked me for it, so I've said I'll do it. There's that. And then my autobiography about my time with the Sex Pistols is coming out at the end of next year. That's a specific, that's a very odd autobiography really, because it's also a volume of disco movie reviews, but my life is threaded through it. It's a really hard concept to put across, that one. And this literally, Ramaskrik is one of the first festivals I've actually been able to come to because of all the restrictions and everything, Yeah. Obviously, Fright Fest is my own, but we're there. But I wanted to come here because I do like it here very much, and Morton's a close friend, and I've helped him get some movies in the past, and so he likes to sort of pay me back for that, by inviting us over. So we're happy for that.
Yeah. And Ramaskrik, like you said, owes a little bit to you in the department of getting movies and getting contacts.
Yeah, I don't want to overstate that because that's not true. All Morton does is say, who has this film, and can you give me a phone number? And that's really all I do. It's up to him to do it. He always says I know everybody in the world, which I suppose could be true. But I just want to help him, and I want the festival to thrive. I want it to grow. I like it here. I think it's a nice festival. It's like Fright Fest. Everyone's friendly. The community is very strong. His program's very good. And I think that's what it's all about. I'll help him in any way I can.
Yeah, and can you talk a little bit why you specifically are here this year?
This year I was here to give a little talk just before a retrospective screening of The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, probably one of the most important Italian films ever made. I could bore you to death by giving you the other 10, but why Crystal Plumage is important? Because it actually kick-started the whole Giallo explosion and the industry. If Dario hadn't made that film, literally I think the Italian film industry would be dead, because everyone copied him, everyone followed him for from 1970 to 1975. Every Giallo movie was like this long sort of title, either including birds, flowers, bees, whatever. and so he actually sort of created that industry. But okay, I accept that Mario Bava started it with Blood and Black Lace, but Dario took it and went with it and rode it, and he's still doing it now. This is new film Occhiali Neri is exactly that. But so I just wanted to, Morton asked me to do a little lecture at the beginning. Lecture, I hate to say it, sounds too school. Wanted to give a talk. So I wanted to sort of fill people in on why it was important, why Dario made it, where he came from. Because, he was a very sort of entitled character. His father literally was Mr. Italian film industry, and his mother was one of the most famous photographers of all time. So the fact that he ended up doing what he's doing is no surprise, So I wanted to sort of put it in context, and again why it was important, and why it led on, and why most of the things you see in the film, Dario's still ripping off himself, and why he's now he started being called the Italian Hitchcock, something he hates. But it's a case of that's what they now say he is. And so I've been on every Argento film location, actually until the last one. He's just finished his new film, and because of the COVID restrictions, I would have to have been in a bubble for 10 weeks to have actually been on the set with the cast and crew. and A, that was impossible, and B, the insurance agency who was backing it said that it was not a really good idea for me to go. So tragically, incredibly, COVID has stopped me, covering probably what will be Dario's last Giallo film. So, but hey, what can you say? He's making it. He's having an amazing career. I mean, he's in the new Gaspar Noé movie, Vortex. He's acting in that, so he seemed to be having a sort of like a third wind of his career. Good on him. He's a great guy. He's been very good to me throughout the last 40 years. He's always supported my work, and he lets me sort of tell him what films I don't like of his. So this is what it's all about, isn't it? So no, it's good.
Like you say, you have been to every major movie set, every major screening, everything. Do you have any favorite stories or anything to share?
About Argento specifically, or in general?
In general.
Well, the very first film set I ever went on was Star Wars, and to be honest, the original. And of course, when you think about it, it's very hard to sort of top that really. But that all through. I mean, Alien was another one I was on. Look, any film that was made in the 80s or 90s literally had me, if you'd moved the camera just a bit to the left, you'd have seen me peeping around one of the sets. But so that was it. It was extraordinary because I often forget what ones I've been on, and people come up to me and go, "Oh, I've just seen it's a documentary on so-and-so, and there you were on the set," and I go, "Really?" People actually film me being on the set, talking to people. So, so it's strange. The last film I did, because of was Gunpowder Milkshake for my friend Navot Papuchado, and I've just done another film called Jet Ski, which is a shark movie, teens on jet skis being eaten by sharks. I think Morton might show this next year, so it might be a good one for him to do that. But that's what I'm up to at the moment. I go back to do the Halloween event, and I've got to finish off this book on reviews, and it's all going on. Listen, if you're a writer and you're on your own, you can just sort of be in a room and do whatever you want. So. Mm-hmm.
And do you have any thoughts on why you landed mostly in the horror genre?
I've always been a fan, ever since I was a very young kid. The book that's just come out is called The Fright Fest Guide to Grindhouse Movies. Every year we do a guide book to attach to Fright Fest, so we're extending the brand, really. And I did this one in lockdown, and I based it on my diaries. I've kept film diaries from 1965. So I went back through those, and I realised that I'd actually reviewed some key movies from that particular Grindhouse era. Yeah. So I put them all together in a book, and everyone really likes it. They all think it's one of the best things I've done. And I wrote it in lockdown thinking, well, this will give me something to do, And as a result, it's really worked. So to answer your question, I've always liked it, and it goes back to that. Yeah. And in the book, I actually say that the three films, the first three horror films I saw were Circus of Horrors, Horrors of the Black Museum, and Blood and Black Lace. Yeah. And for me, those three films set the seal on my entire career, because Mario Bava Italian, gory, British, it's a no-brainer. When I look back, it's almost like, fate, sort of I was helped along the way. I'm not going to say that I have no writing. I didn't go to university. I'm self-taught. There's nothing. I didn't do anything miraculous to do that. I was just in the right place at the right time when an American magazine wanted somebody in Britain to cover films and review movies, and I said, and that was it. That was all I did.
So you kind of brought in the punk attitude of do it yourself?
There is that. People have actually said that to me, and I wonder about that. I said to my publisher, there's no way I'm going to edit it. I want the reviews as they were. But my God, when I read some of them, I was really quite shocked at what I actually said about people, and I think that's what it was. That was the punk ethos creeping through my reviews. But everyone calls me a pioneer now, because they all say, well, you actually created the job. What we're trying to do is what you did back then. Because it really was a case, nobody knew what I was doing. I had to ring up film companies and go, can I come to your movie and see it? Well, why do you want to do that? Well, I want to write about it. But why? Because, publicity oh, all right, they didn't get it. And now, of course, well, look at you. I mean, you're doing the same thing, and you're trying to get into previews as well, I suppose, and get access to talent. So, but then back then, I mean, I could have 3 hours with Vincent Price. Now you're lucky if you get 2 minutes with third cast zombie from the left. You know what I mean?
Of course.